You're all doing well today. I have a bit of a special episode because I have the creators of the RatCTF Box with me today. Hello, Andreas and the Art42. How are you guys?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you, I'm well. So you guys created this masterpiece. That's amazing. Like you've
Thank you.
created a whole lot of other boxes in the past as well, like Carpe Diem and Hoover. Tell us a little bit about the process of creating one of these boxes.
Um, yeah, sure. I'll kick off. Andreas can fill me in and help me out and correct me where I'm wrong. Yeah, just a little bit of history. I met Andreas while I was doing, I think, Tempest Fugit on Vulnhub. I had got stuck and I asked him for a help through Twitter, and that's how we really got involved. And he said he was toying with the idea of building a second version, and I said, well, I'm more than interested in helping you. And that's how we got started really in building boxes. So I think we started with some boxes on Vulnhub, if I'm correct, Andreas, is that?
Yeah, that's correct. We started on Tempest Fugit 3, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, we made that one for B-Sides Newcastle, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then released it on Vulnhub after that.
Yeah, and what we normally do, really in a nutshell, is either based on my experiences as a pen tester that I encounter something that we say, well, that's an interesting thing. Let's try that for a capture the flag box. And we also follow a lot of stuff on Twitter and on ExploitDB and other sites. And as soon as something interesting comes along, that might say, well, that's an interesting thing that we want to learn more about ourselves, because that's one of the main drivers for us, that we learn how to build and how to break stuff, and then build a box around it. I think we did RA2 or Z, I'm not quite sure anymore on THM, that was built around this the sweet potato exploit for Windows 2019. That's an interesting. Yeah,
that was RA2.
Oh, RA2, yeah, because that was a very interesting exploit to try out, and well, it worked really reasonably well, I think, on Windows 2019. And then we said, well, let's build a box around this, and then find an interesting way of getting a foothold, and then do that. And well, it's more or less a very organic process. I think we do a lot using Discord, and Andreas has a ESXi server where he hosts the development box on, and then we can work on it together. And well, while doing things, we get new ideas and add features or delete features from the box. It's really a natural process, if you know what I mean.
So if I take us back to the start a little bit, like say you find this vulnerability in Windows 2019, do you take like a specific version of Windows 2000? Let's say the exploit we're talking about is only vulnerable on Windows 2019 patch 7. I'm just saying a number here. Do you guys take that specific version, or do you take like a patched complete Windows 2019? And do you guys like emulate the vulnerability for that?
No, we really do the actual vulnerability. So if this for Sweet Potato, for instance, it was a 2019 version without because when that vulnerability came out, I don't think there was a hotfix available yet. So we just installed a plain 2019, enabled the print servers because that was one of the requirements, and then kept that version for the box. So there will be updates coming out, but we don't install them. So we are just using as plain versions of Linux or Windows or other operating systems as much as possible.
And does that play a factor into like the difficulty spike? Like, say, for example, you want to implement a certain vulnerability. Do you also implement other rabbit holes on the box to give it like some filler, or is it just a specific vulnerability that you put on the box?
Well, sometimes the rabbit holes they just appear because we start in one ID and then we abandon it and start on another path, and then we have a rabbit hole.
Yes. Yes. So most of the rabbit holes are there, by history or come naturally. So
that's really interesting.
Yeah,
because I think that might be one of the most frustrating things as a player, of course. It's like those rabbit holes, and it's really interesting to know that they come naturally, that it's not like planned, that you don't put them in there.
Yeah, because we have one rule, Andreas and I. What we normally do is that before we start building a box, we write a little story about 1 or 2 paragraphs, because it has to have a real life feeling for us, if you know what I mean. I think there are a lot of good capture the flag boxes out there, but there are so way of a real life scenario that it doesn't really come natural, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what we normally do, we like to do a series based on, for instance, the Windcore Corporation that gets hacked over and over again, and every time they try to close the holes from last time but introduce new ones. So that's more or less the storyline that we follow, and obviously we base it also on real life experiences from pen tests that I'm doing for customers. So that means that you encounter stuff, and there are a lot of customers that are either lazy or they have legacy stuff that they have to support. So it's not always fancy schmancy 0-day things that we do, but it's often patches that are lacking, or older versions of software that you have, or wrongly configured services, or whatever you have, or people left an Excel sheet with passwords. The stuff that you encounter in your real work as well, in most cases.
Yeah, install a service and never used it and just left it there, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's the stuff, like you guys say, that you find in the real world and bug bounties as well. All of these misconfigurations, people not knowing exactly what they're doing. I'm sure you guys have gained a lot of technical experience over the years. You have to, by doing this stuff. Do you guys have like a specific role, or do you find that each of you try to mingle as much as possible and get all of the knowledge that you can?
Now we share a lot of stuff as well on Discord, because I follow a lot of things on Twitter. Andreas follows a lot of people on Twitter, and there's so much information. If you have to be careful, because there's a lot of bullshit as well on Twitter. That everybody knows that as well. But you soon find reliable sources for new information, and then you can use that as a starting point for saying, well, that's an interesting thing. I want to learn more about it myself, because that's one of the main reasons that we do it. We want to learn it ourselves, and by building a box, you learn so much stuff. And then by releasing the box, you can share that with other people as well. And then what you do is that you either find a new way of doing a cross-site scripting, or you find a way of abusing web tokens or stuff like that. And it's always for us, it's always finding those little individual vulnerabilities and exploits and trying to string them together to get from 0 to admin. That's more or less the path that we try to follow.
Yeah, that's really interesting. One of the things I've learned from OSCP is that every single hack starts with a little misconfiguration somewhere, but it always changes to something bigger. It's like also when we talk about the rat box, all of the vulnerabilities that you've chained together, they're so awesome. I'm not going to spoil too much, of course, but it's really cool that you've been able to find all of these vulnerabilities and find like a comprehensive storyline for it as well. The storyline of your boxes is always so awesome as well. How do you come up with those? Is it like based on your vulnerability, or do you go in with like you say, we have this predefined idea, we're WinCorp, we want to find some vulnerability for WinCorp, or?
Yeah, I think that's a natural process. We bounce ideas off of each other, and that gives you, at the end of the day, it gives you a storyline. That's in my experience how it goes. It's a really natural flow of things. So I think that comes almost automatically for me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the creative process as well. I think it's really cool that you guys do all of this stuff. Like, thank you guys so much for creating the box for RatCTF and also for all of the other boxes you've created, because they're masterful, truly. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed
Thank you very
them.
much.
Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen, and everybody who's watching. Thank you for your time as well. Thank you for playing. I really enjoyed hosting this CTF. I really enjoyed meeting you guys. Like, you guys came into the Discord. You were like, hey, can you do a review on Carpe Diem? I was like, yeah, of course. So
that's how it started, really, right? Yeah, it's often those simple things that get started, and then it flows more or less like a natural thing. It shouldn't be a forced something like that.
yeah, exactly. It's a good metaphor for life, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I hope that everybody enjoys the box in playing it, and don't get frustrated if you don't find it. I think it will be. It's on Saturday, right? And I think Andreas and I will drop in sometime to help people out with hints and answering questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, we will.
For sure. These guys are also in the Discord channel, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop some messages in there, and Andreas and the art will answer them if they have time, of course.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.